our role as a leader, we have many roles as leaders, right? But this one particularly, I think, means that we have to act as a coach in terms of helping people through it. And so we have to model it ourselves. So, for example, with my team, I'm encouraging them to use Claude, and I'm using it. I don't think I'm great at it. I think I'm functional at this point, trying to get more fluent. But I use it in my personal life, on travel trips. I use it in work in terms of analyzing data, like 360 data. So I'm acting as a model. But I'm also giving space for people to experiment on their own terms. And this time right now we're in this 1 to 2 year period where everything's up for grabs, is a time for us to do that. It's a mushy time right now for us to experiment. Because a year from now, 2 years from now, the expectations for our ability to use the tools are going to be much higher. So let's take the opportunity now to experiment. So we have to help people do that, support them in that. So that's the role of the change agent.
Artificial intelligence is changing how decisions are made. Wisdom determines whether those decisions serve what matters, protect what is human, and shape a future worthy of us. That is where our conversations begin. Welcome to Beyond AI, Wisdom at Work. I'm Brian Gorman, your host, the founder of TransformingLives.coach, and I work at the intersection of artificial intelligence and human wisdom. As does my guest, Sue Bithanis is founder of Mariposa Leadership. And welcome, Sue.
Thanks, Brian. It's so great to be here.
Sue, one of the things I noted when I was looking actually at your LinkedIn website or your
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn profile
Right.
is you have been talking about wisdom for a long time.
Yeah. I wrote a book called Leadership Chronicles of a Corporate Sage. So I guess that would count, right?
Well, and you have wise talk and you have wise
Yeah,
space.
space.
And
Yes, wisdom is important.
and as I note, there's a difference between wisdom, which is a human trait, if you will, and
Hmm.
artificial intelligence. Back in August of 2025, you wrote a paper that you sent out to any number of people called From Resistance to Resilience, Our
Hmm.
Role as Change Agents in AI Adoption. And in that, I want to read one quote, first of all,
Okay.
which is
What did I
uh,
say?
my vote,
Remind me.
my vote. Expect and embrace this AI human partnership and
Hmm.
ensure that we intentionally integrate our minds and bodies around it, as well as support others to do the same.
Hmm. Hmm.
What brought you to that conclusion?
Yeah. It's a great pull out. Thank you for that. So there's so much to say about it. So let's break it down. So the first thing is that I really deem what we're in now, and this was back in August, so it's even more the case now. So we're talking 9 months from now, that we need to embrace the AI, and I call it the robot affectionately. And I say the robot because it isn't a human being. It's a really smart intelligence that we need to take advantage of and partner with, and not resist it as much as we can. But there is going to be some of that resistance, and there's a lot of resistance to right now. There's a lot of resistance to AI, and people are doing that in the form of protesting the data centers. Okay, so instead of the actual robot itself, they're protesting the data centers. There's a lot of stuff out there. Also, people are scared about they're losing their jobs. So I'm of the mind that we need to embrace that this is coming, and it's here, and that we need to accept it. And of course, it's hard to do that when it might take your job. So um, uh, I think it's important that leaders help people do that. So there needs to be empathy for people's experience wherever they're at. And if they're scared, acknowledge that. So we can't force it on people, but we can encourage them. So that's the thing. I mean, so the first thing is that we have to accept that it's here. And second thing is we have to help people embrace it and not shove it down their throats, essentially.
What comes to mind, and my listeners have heard this before, back when my age was somewhere in the single digits, used to spend a lot of weekends with my paternal grandparents, and they taught me how to play pinochle.
Oh, yeah.
And as a little kid, I would get grumpy when I would get a bad hand. And my grandfather, and I don't know if he meant this as a life lesson or not, but it certainly was, would say, it's not up to you to determine the hand you're dealt. It's always your choice as to how to play it.
Hmm.
And so I too approach artificial intelligence as that's the hand we're dealt, folks.
Hmm.
It's here, it's not going away. It is moving exponentially faster than anything that we have experienced probably in the history of
Definitely.
man.
Yeah, definitely.
And it is up to us how we play it. And if you
Yeah.
choose to play it by refusing to acknowledge it, then that's going to lead to one set of consequences. And if you choose to play it by saying this can just replace people, that's going to lead to another set of consequences. And if you choose to play it as a really, really freaking smart partner, that too leads to a different set of consequences.
Yeah, there's no question that as I've been using, I use Claude and I feel smarter. I feel like I can get things information more quickly. I can get and it can analyze things quickly, but it's still on me to discern, judge, be critical of it. I mean, there's been mistakes in it that I've suffered from actually because it gave me the wrong information. So it wasn't even hallucination. It was just more of a, just they got the wrong information. So you have to oversee it. There's no question. We have to remember that the tandem bike, we're in front. The human is the one in front, and the robot is the one in back. So we have to make sure that we're leading it.
I love that picture. Thank you.
I
So
like it too.
in your paper, you introduce a framework, and my listeners will know that I don't talk frameworks very often, but I think this is one that has real meaning as we look at how do we
Hmm.
successfully integrate artificial intelligence and human wisdom.
Hmm.
Your framework is three parts, and I'm just going to read it off and then
Yeah,
I'd like to dive into it.
for sure.
Part one, role. Wake up every day and embody being a change agent. Make it a leadership cornerstone.
Right.
Two, mindset. Instead of dealing with or being burdened by change, expect and embrace it. And three, practices. Most importantly, our practices need to shift to a higher frequency of empathy and inspiration in our day to day with peers and directs. Tell us,
Yeah.
tell
So
us,
go
tell
ahead.
us
Tell me.
more. Tell us more about.
Yeah,
Let's
there's a lot
let's
to it. There's a lot to unpack there. Yeah.
let's work through one by one. Tell us more about
Yeah. Let's start the
roles.
role. So inevitably, in the past, let's say 20 years, let's call it that, change agent has really been thought of as the driver and someone who comes in and like breaks things, right? And I think that this is a different kind of change. We need to come in as committing to people changing, and it being a partnership, as we talked about, a partnership with the tool. And so our role as a leader, we have many roles as leaders, right? But this one particularly, I think, means that we have to act as a coach in terms of helping people through it. And so we have to model it ourselves. So, for example, with my team, I'm encouraging them to use Claude, and I'm using it. I don't think I'm great at it. I think I'm functional at this point, trying to get more fluent. But I use it in my personal life, on travel trips. I use it in work in terms of analyzing data, like 360 data. So I'm acting as a model. But I'm also giving space for people to experiment on their own terms. And this time right now we're in this 1 to 2 year period where everything's up for grabs, is a time for us to do that. It's a mushy time right now for us to experiment. Because a year from now, 2 years from now, the expectations for our ability to use the tools are going to be much higher. So let's take the opportunity now to experiment. So we have to help people do that, support them in that. So that's the role of the change agent, for sure.
My go-to at this point has been chat. And as I write in my book, chat was a great research assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Research and verify.
Yes,
Not only
for
tell me the
sure.
sources, but I'm going to go visit those sources and
Right,
make sure that
right.
how you're reading it is how I read it. Um, but also a brainstorming partner.
Yes, it's a great
And
idea for it. Yeah.
and what has really I've found of great value in that my experimentation is not giving prompts, not just giving prompts. Yeah, the prompts are important,
Mm-hmm.
but asking questions. So if I'm asking you to do X, what do I need to tell you to help you give me the best X
Yes,
possible?
yes.
And
I like
and
that.
um, I think it was on Sunday of this past weekend. I probably spent 6 hours in conversation, brainstorming back and forth around something that I was trying to accomplish. Now, I could have put in a prompt and said, give me X, and had it
Mm-hmm.
in about 18 seconds, but it would not have been it would have been smarter than I would have come up with, but
Mm-hmm.
it would not have been nearly as smart or as valuable as what came out of that prolonged
Right.
brainstorming session back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of iteration. I mean, we really need to be using design thinking um, in this whole change management process. And I know we'll talk more about change management, but these 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 three areas of role, mindset, and practice are sort of sets us up for that.
So, mindset,
Yeah.
expect and embrace it.
Yeah, I think it's important that we understand that uh, human beings resist change. I mean, like that's been going on. That's the way our brain works. The amygdala in our brain is actually scans for difference. It scans for danger. So the amygdala looks at difference as danger. So that's when you get the fear response. You get fight, flight, or freeze. And sometimes we form bonds as well. But those are the main two are fear or fight and flight. And so we have to accept that it's okay. Like we have to accept that people are going to be fearful of a new thing. So given that, if we can be get on top of that and realize that that's the way human beings work, then we can be more accepting for one. We can give them more space. We can accept that it's natural. And we can see it as a growth rather than a disruption. So that's the main thing. I think a lot of people it depends. I mean, it could be in tech, but it's also in other areas like insurance or retail or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of different areas that this comes up, but even in tech is coming up a lot that it's seen as a disruption to their work. And if we can flip that and see it as a growth mindset, then I think that will help. Okay. Also, the more we can get more comfortable with ambiguity, I think is going to be really important. And further, this is not in the paper, but since then I've thought a lot about this, is that I think the creatives are going to win here. I think the people who could be creative and the builders are going to win. In fact, Andreessen, I don't often quote Andreessen, but he's a very good technologist. He talked about being a builder and how important that's going to be in this new world, and whether you're a software engineer or whether you're an insurance broker, the people that can create and come up with ideas and use ChatGPT or use Claude or whatever you use to help partner with you on that is, I think, are going to be the winners. So that's all about that mindset: being creative, being good with ambiguity, being a growth mindset, and recognizing that, accepting that this is it's hard, and that we have to give space for it.
I just want to add one piece in my experience that's important related
Please.
to that, which is whether you call it letting go or unlearning.
Yes.
Um, the evidence, I think, is becoming increasingly clear that so much about when you talk about design, about organizational design, so much about traditional leadership, so much about organizational culture, so much about how we measure um, performance and productivity um, gets in the way
Hmm.
of successfully um, embracing partnership with this new technology.
Yeah, I mean, certain companies are set up better than others, but there's no question that the way we measure heretofore is going to get in the way of this, because we need to measure differently now. Because we need to give, as I've said, I think I've said it now 4 times, but we need to give space for experimentation. And so, these companies, I'm not going to name any names, but these companies that are making you write down how much time you're spending on AI, or how much, work you're doing with it, or how many tokens you're using, all that stuff is, I think, it's been backfiring, and, productivity is not working right now. And it's understandable. This is a new technology, and for most of us. So, you have to give grace. You have to give a chance or opportunity for people to fail, and to get it back up again and try again.
Let's move on to practices.
Right.
The need to shift to a higher frequency of empathy and inspiration in our day to day with peers and directs. And you've
Yeah.
touched on that, but
Yeah,
let's go a
we
little
touched on it
more.
in terms of the mindset. Yeah, I mean, I want to give us some examples, because that's always helpful for people. I'm you know I when I was writing this paper, I actually was working with about 5 different people in AI. They actually were ahead of AI for their companies, so that was kind of part of the inspiration for writing it. And right now, I'm working with 2 people. One's in a lab, at a FANG company, and another is head of marketing AI. Well, head of our AI within the marketing division of a company. So try to stay as close to it as I can, and of course, my role in their lives, is in all those folks, is to help them be better leaders. And in the case of the folks that are doing AI, it's like, how are they leading the AI adoption process, and how are they taking in some of these things we talked about in terms of making sure they're experimenting. And in the one case, um, this particular guy is very, very facile in design thinking. So he was using a lot of empathy. He was bringing people involved, into the change itself, and he wanted to create trust. So actually, I actually want to read, because I just love what he said so much. I want to read what he had to say about this, because it really got to me. Actually, it's important we iterate quickly, but first we must earn trust, talk the same language, how our AI tools helping them, so we contextualize for them by knowing their pain points and iterate with them. So the with is so important here. We identify and align on the problem, develop rapid prototyping, and continue to iterate by getting feedback. So that's classic design thinking there. You bring the people the change is affected by into the process. You design with them. You understand what's going on with them, and there's not a separation there, and it's a constant iteration. You fail fast, you get back up, you figure it out. So he's the chief AI officer at a Fortune 200 company, and he gets it. So I'm excited to talk about him. Another example of a person who is in fact, he's written papers on being AI native. He's way ahead. He's in product marketing, VP of product marketing of a Fortune 500 company. And he's a real smarty pants. He's really smart, and he can um kind of sometimes be too ahead of the curve, essentially. He's kind of consultative, and sometimes he's too ahead of the curve. So he talked about how he's really had to become more of an AI whisperer, and how he has, sat with people who are not even near where he is in terms of his capacity, because I would say he's an AI native at this point for sure. But people who are like just starting out or just trying to be more functional. So if you go from, functional to fluent to AI native, they're just starting their journey. And so he told me he sat down with somebody who was using Perplexity and felt like this person was in finance, and felt like they were cheating, because they were using to crunch the numbers. And that comes up a lot. It doesn't come up as much these days as it did, a couple of years ago
Mhm.
or even a year ago, but it definitely still comes up. And people who have been honed in research and have, degrees, feel like this is definitely cheating. And so he had to sit her down and say, no, 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 it's not cheating. It's a compliment to what you're doing. And so, but he was good with her. He was empathetic to her experience, and he didn't try to rush her. And that's the important part here. It's like you don't want to be rushing people. You want to be sitting with them, sitting literally with them, with the robot. Okay, so it's the three of you trying to figure this out. Does that make sense? The
It
examples?
does, and there are a number
Yeah.
of things I want to pick up on there. Many organizations are moving quickly with AI. Fewer are asking whether they are moving wisely. I help CEOs, founders, senior teams, and boards think through the leadership, culture, and decision-making implications of artificial intelligence. This work is not about chasing the newest tool. It's about using AI in ways that strengthen trust, judgment, alignment, and human responsibility. Start with a no-pitch 30-minute conversation. Call country code 1-917-653-5198 or email Brian, Brian, at transforminglives.coach. That with
Mm-hmm.
is such an important word, and it is one of those places where leaders have to let go of
Mm-hmm.
being the source of the answers.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I write about in my book, is that there are no maps for this.
No,
This is uncharted
not at all.
territory. And that means leaders need to become wayfinders. They can't navigate their way through based on the
Mm-hmm.
past. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the big mistakes I'm seeing is, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, but we're going to plug the robot. We're going to plug artificial intelligence. We're going to plug the
As
uh,
another technology tool. Yeah.
and as a technology tool to replace what
Yeah.
some of our people are doing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to work. This is a whole new territory in this. We don't
Right.
need to get into all the reasons why it's not going to work, but there's growing evidence that it's not. Um, and then the other thing that came to mind, um, is you talked about this one individual who identified as an AI whisperer,
Mm-hmm.
as evidence to me of how quickly this is moving. When my book came out in October of 2025, it's called Leading into the Age of Wisdom, Reimagining the Future of Work. I felt like a whisperer around the human side of
Mm-hmm.
the AI future. I am now, for example, participating in an online forum twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say this publicly because it's publicly on his LinkedIn profile. that is hosted by this global CFO of Amazon on the
Hmm.
human artificial intelligence interface.
Oh, nice.
Um, you know, Jeff Birmingham has a book out called The Last Book Written by a Human
That's a
about
great title.
about
I've
the
never heard.
AI
Okay.
human interface.
Right,
Um,
right.
there are a number of groups being formed addressing how this technology comes together with we human beings.
Uh-huh.
And so for me, all of that is just evidence of um, the importance of experimenting, the importance of unlearning or letting go or whatever you want to
Hmm.
call it, the
Yeah, it's
importance
all the
of
same. It's all the same thing. Yeah.
wayfinding, the importance of
Hmm. Hmm.
um, knowing that none of us is going to find the path by ourselves.
That's right. That's right. I can't emphasize it enough. And I think that while this technology is different from anything we've ever seen, I think there are some things we can grab from change management practices that have worked that will work, especially if we try to use design thinking as a, a model for it. And, the first aspect of design thinking, as I've mentioned, is empathy. And so at some point, we're probably going to have to crack the whip a little bit because in this period of time of mush, of people experimenting, at some point they've got to get it. So I understand that. That's going to have to happen. And it's happening in some places already, especially in software engineering. But but give us the grace to always experiment. So if even if you've gotten to a certain level, it's like, okay, great. So you got into that level. So now it's never going to like end. You're always going to have to get better, and that's a process of growth mindset learning that we can take from certainly other kinds of change management practices. But we have to remember that change management is a human-centered process. It's I don't care what technology you use. You can name any technology or anything you want to change. It's still the humans that are changing. And so we have to, and I'm not the only one who thinks this because obviously if OpenAI and Anthropic just spent, I think in one case, $5 billion to start a change management practice um, to really upheaval the McKenzies of the world, then I guess they think that too. So they believe that they need to be involved in that change as well. Not they just can't give the tool. They need to be involved in how to help people change. And I'm in the Claude camp for a lot of reasons, but I like the way that they are talking about ethics and talking about responsible AI, and they have a lot of liberal arts graduates running around there. Maybe OpenAI does too, but I know that Claude makes a point of it. So.
I want to come back to that change management point because that is so valuable. I actually spend two chapters of my book on
Hmm.
change management.
Hmm.
And the fact that change management exists
Yeah, as a
is is
function. Yeah,
is
yeah,
is
yeah.
is is but it's based on the fact that there are recognizable patterns of people moving
Hmm.
through change.
Yes,
And there are recognizable patterns of what that change journey is that
yes.
allow us to know how to guide people through change, which is a lot of the work that I did for literally decades. There are a couple of things uh, about the profession traditionally
Hmm.
that either historically have been weaknesses or that this new world that we're in um, puts to the test. And so I want to highlight those briefly for our listeners. The first
For sure.
is that I have never seen a change management methodology that acknowledges grief.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yet, grief is an inherent
Loss.
part of the
Yep.
change journey.
Totally.
I have to let go of my ability
Yes.
to work these incredible, spreadsheets that I've developed over the decades.
Yeah. Get rid of them. Yeah.
If I'm going to embrace this new technology, what even and one of the fascinating things to me about it is even if I want this change, even if I'm passionate about this change, there's something that I have to let go of,
Yes,
and there's going to
for
be some
sure.
grief involved. Um, Another thing that we need to be very cognizant of, and you addressed it earlier when you were talking about with
Hmm.
traditional change management methodologies were developed under the boomers.
Hmm.
They were developed under a command and control, top down
Hmm.
way of executing change.
Yeah.
And that's not the world we've lived in for a long time. And we've
Mm-mm.
seen that those methodologies struggle because of that and not adapting to that reality. The third thing, and here's where I think AI breaks the mold,
Hmm.
is that traditional change management methodologies were based on the concept that we'd define where we're going, would start off, would take the journey, and would end up somewhere else.
Hmm.
Well, this is not a journey that ends.
Right.
And so
Yes.
we need to really reframe our experience
Yeah.
around the ongoing journey of change with this technology.
Yeah, I totally agree with that last point for sure. That we have to, so the entrepreneurs are going to be able to do this better because they're already in a mindset of ambiguity, of things coming at them, of constantly pivoting. And so that's what's going to be the case. And we're already kind of gotten accustomed to change being such a big part of our world. I mean, COVID really did a number on us, and we were not prepared for it at all. And it took us a long time to get used to it. Um, Geopolitics, we're not used to that either. There's some things that have been going on that we're not we that were we're at war. I mean, that's in most of the folks, especially the Gen Xers and Gen Zs, have not been in a situation where they've been at war. And then there's some of these geopolitical things. And I won't get too political, obviously, but we're in a different world as far as that. And then now we have AI, and I think AI, no pun intended, trumps all of this by far. And so I guess the one good thing to say, Brian, would be that we've kind of been in this constant change anyway, so maybe it's going to have prepared us a little bit better to be able to take on AI and to embrace it. Um, but we have to have these skills of, as you said, letting go and law. I mean, I think of it as like you're going to have to let go of the loss that it's going to entail. So whether it's a spreadsheet or I mean, there's so much legacy stuff that we have to let go of. There's so much legacy software. I was talking to a head of AI of a small company the other day. He goes, "There's plenty to do. Like there should be no reason that people should be leaving jobs or getting jobs cut because there's so much to do. There's so much legacy software. Like think about here in San Francisco, we finally get to use our credit cards for Muni and BART instead of using a BART, the card, the Clipper card. It's like hallelujah, right? It took a long time. I mean, everywhere else in the world you can do that. It's like, okay, great. Well, that's software. That's AI, right? So, there's plenty to do that we need to work on. And so we should be using the tools to be productive and then uh, having people go to the next thing. It's like so I don't know why we're laying off people. I don't get it. I don't get it at all because there's so much to do. And all I can say is that I know we're going on a tangent here a little bit, but you know, tech companies overhired. And this is their excuse for getting rid of people, I guess, because they should not be the optics of saying using AI as an excuse for getting rid of people is just really bad. They should not be using that as an optics from an optics perspective at all. Just say like we overhired. Just say it. We have too many people for what we're doing right now, and it will, and because they're all hiring people back. By the way, they're not doing it like they're not advertising that, but they are because I know they are.
Yeah,
I see it.
I'm absolutely with you. I want to take this in a different direction for just a moment here,
Please.
Sue. Over the years, I've worked with um, some startup leaders,
Hmm.
and inevitably, as they are moving into venture capital funding more and
Hmm.
more,
Hmm.
they're basically saying, we need to get out of this startup mindset and become corporate, whatever the language they
Whatever
use.
that means. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
not me, so I'm going to be leaving, and my leadership team is going to be leaving as soon as we can escape whatever those
Right.
investment clauses and so forth are. And yet it seems to me that that is exactly the leadership mindset that even the Fortune 500 companies should be bringing to this AI driven world.
Well, there's a lot in there. Let me just start by saying that I think it's definitely a balance. I think startups that I mentioned before that one they needed the idea of dealing with ambiguity, the idea of being able to pivot quickly, that they're not encumbered by processes. Yes, great. That's definitely something that we all should embrace. And when I work with startups, most of what I do with them is process because on the one hand they
Granted,
feel
yeah,
like that they're yeah on the one hand they feel like that they can pivot quickly, but that there needs to be some processes in place. And the main reason for that, Brian, is because you have to scale culture. You have to be able to scale. And so to be able to scale, you have to have people, you have to scale people, you have to have culture processes in place and certainly structures and such like that. So I think there's a balance of like, what is the best of what startups bring and what is the best of what corporations bring. And of course, a lot of corporations have too much process, right? So that's where that's what they're bumping up against. So where's the happy medium?
yeah,
You know?
yeah, absolutely. So we're going to have to wrap this up in just a moment, but last thoughts?
Already? Oh my gosh. We just
You
got
and I can
started.
continue this conversation for a long time, but
It's been great. I love
from
talking about this stuff. Last thoughts. I guess just to reiterate the idea of accepting change and that this world is changing quickly and the more we can embrace it, the better. And when you're embracing it and showing that through empathy and through inspiration, we have to give hope. We can't, there's optics here as leaders that we have to be aware of. We can't be the downy, down people on this. We've got to be the Debbie Downers, I guess trying to say. We have to be inspirational and certainly look at us from a with hope. And I think it's exciting. I mean, people have said to me, "Why aren't you retiring? Why don't you just walk into the sunset?" It's like this is the most exciting time I've ever had in my life in terms of what's to come. So why retire? Like I think it's so interesting, and I'm just interested in helping people get through it. And so whether it's being more strategic or being more empathetic or coaching your folks or using the tools yourself, start using it for travel. Like I last thing I'm going to say is I was in Tokyo and with my son and who's there studying Japanese and so let him do his thing, obviously getting him on his own, and I'm in Tokyo running around having a good time. So every morning I get up and say, here are the three things I want to do to Claude, and throw lunch in there too, Claude, and it made my itinerary for me every day. So it was a great use. It took 2 minutes instead of 2 hours, and I obviously deviated from the plan a lot, but it was just a great way of using the tools. So I was able to prompt it. It got better as the trip went on in terms of how to prompt. So use it for yourself, and then apply it to use cases inside companies.
So I think that's just a beautiful example of how valuable the tool can be in our lives, and a statement that, even if Sue was retired, there'd be value to keep learning and growing with the
Yes,
tools.
that's right. There's always ways to learn. It's exciting. Thanks for
Sue
having me, Brian. Really.
Subathanis, founder of Mariposa Leadership. This has been an incredible conversation. Let's keep talking.
Yes. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
AI may give us faster answers, but the deeper work is still ours, choosing wisely, leading humanely, and shaping workplaces worth belonging to. If anything in this episode connects to what you or your organization is facing, reach out. I'd welcome the conversation. I'm Brian Gorman, and this is Beyond AI, Wisdom at Work.